thank you for joining us. I know this is the Happiness, Prosperity, and Love podcast. And today what I have for my guest is Ashly Torian. And I'm going to ask her a couple of different questions about what she does and how it all ties into happiness, prosperity, and love. So we'll spend about maybe 15, 20 minutes with that. We'll follow up with a couple of minutes of Q&A, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
And we'll go from there. How does that sound?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. And thank you for joining us tonight. So, Ashly, I've gotten to know her over the last year, and she has what's called 3 Brains Vitality Boost. It's not just our head brain, not just our heart brain, but also our gut brain, and how all 3 are interconnected and how to bring those together to actually really create a life of happiness, prosperity, and love. And so she's a phenomenal speaker. She's been on stages. She has different programs and things that she shares with her audience. And I just love talking with her because I'm always learning something new because I'm always asking questions along the way. So Ashly, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this today with us and for joining us with Sylvia.
Yes.
So,
yes. Happy to be here. Thank you. Thank
awesome. You. And so I just wanted to start by asking you a little bit about your background, your story, how you came to 3 Brains Vitality Boost, to kind of give us an idea of what you've been through to actually start going into your own personal inner alignment.
Yes. So, I was a worrywart, and a worrywart. Yeah. All of my life growing up, my sister used to tease me, and so I always had the nervous tummy, and when you're a worrywart, you also have a lack of confidence. And I also had a learning difference as well. So, I mean, it's just like this trifecta thing going on. And it was one of those, I had a great childhood. I mean, great family, great childhood, but there was just something in me that made me so nervous all the time and scared. And I didn't quite understand it. And then when I'm in my 20s, I just had my second son. And all of a sudden, bam, just hit with anxiety attacks. And it laid me flat. The first time I had climbed up, like 7 flights of stairs to a hotel room. And I was a personal fitness trainer, really in shape, power lifter. So, 7 flights of stairs is not a big deal for me at that time. And I get to the top, and that's when it hits me. And I just totally turned for me. And I had to go on a journey because I was terrified. And I had 2 young boys that I did not want them to grow up with that at all. Did not want them to be afraid. I wanted to raise men of this world, right? And so I went on that journey to discover, what is going on with me and how do I stop this? How do I find peace? Peace within. That's what I wanted, just peace within. And that journey led me through to discovering about the gut brain more, because from that, I also encountered food issues and became afraid to eat. And there was years, 2, 3, 4 years where I was terrified to eat anything. I dropped 25 pounds of muscle. I was a skeleton, and it was, I didn't feel good, and digestive issues galore. So I went and studied at the psychology of eating because I was a personal fitness trainer anyway. And I knew my clients were also having issues with food. And so I did psychology of eating and learned all about the gut brain and how fascinating it was. And that just started that journey of healing for me. And then discovering more about the heart brain and how I was so much in my head and I was not tapped into my heart at all. The head brain was talking so loud because of the anxiety that my purpose, my reason for being could not be voiced. And so it was a really fun journey. I don't regret a moment of those anxiety attacks. The anorexic type of eating disorder, don't regret any of that. It was for a reason, right? And so I'm so happy here now to share this with y'all.
Well, I have to interject because earlier today we have a timeout through Telegram with Joyful Joey's out of Colorado. And that was one of the things that the lady had said, that she really feels like the stuff that she's gone through, that it was really for to help others. And I'm like, ugh, goosebumps. And I'm like going through a 28-year common law relationship just ending. And I feel like I've given it my all. And I feel like I'm shining beautiful light. And yet, I'm accepting the rejection, but I'm like, okay, that was a good message that I'm doing this for y'all.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And doesn't it make it more enriching when we realize that the path that we are following and that we're on, the journey we're on, is really for a greater purpose outside of ourselves, right? It just makes you realize how beautiful those hard times are really blessings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Another ditto.
And the universe always comes, it always puts everything in alignment, always at the right time and at the right place, which clearly we are. So, Ashly, what are some of the things that you did to pull yourself out of those anxiety attacks to get your health and your mind and your heart space all back on track?
Yeah. I did all the wrong things at first. Right? I did all the wrong stuff. I counted up to 100 and reversed counted back. I would clean out a drawer. I would do all of these things to keep my head brain busy so that I wouldn't have an attack, right? And what I learned through the process of healing was that that is all the wrong stuff to do, so to speak, because it keeps feeding it. And as long as we're feeding it, it's going to get bigger and bigger. It's like the big fib on VeggieTales, right? How the fib just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is how anxiety is. It gets larger and larger. The more we stuff it, suppress it, push it aside, it just gets bigger and bigger. And so what I found was, at first I began meditating and going into a beautiful nature scene and just really calming myself by being in nature, because nature is what calms me and feeds me. And doing that every night so that I could have a sound night's sleep. But then I learned the importance of circadian rhythm. I was staying up late because I was afraid to fall asleep. But what I realized that by doing that, I was just sending off more stress chemistry that was creating even more anxiety. And so once I got in that rhythm of circadian rhythm, being in alignment with the sun, with my sleep, with the way that I ate, it started putting everything right back in order again. And then I also found this beautiful value around slow. So slow sounds really difficult, especially for a person with anxiety, right? Because
flow or slow?
I'm sorry?
Did you say flow or slow?
Slow, SLOW.
Okay.
Yes, because a person with anxiety we never wanted to be slow, because that's when the bear would catch us and it would all be over with, right? So we had to run as fast as we can in order to get away from everything that scares us. And so that magic of slow, and what I realized when I slowed down was I began to master my mind. I began to master the stress. And that's when I was able to finally master my moment. And it was when I learned how to master my moment was when everything started to really change for me. Being inside of the moment, whether it scared me half to death or not, being present in that moment was the most valuable step forward for me to do. And being present is not an easy thing, even for people without anxiety. People aren't present filled, so to speak, because we're answering text while we're eating dinner, we're looking at our emails while we're doing another thing, and we're always doing 2-3 things at once. We're not present. And so learning how to be present and in that moment, yeah, that was magical. That was magical for me. Mm-hmm.
So learning to be present in that moment, to be inside of the moment, what were some of the things that you received as benefits from doing that?
I found the peace within. Mm-hmm. Because when you're in that present moment and you allow your senses to pick up everything around you, and we want to have our mindful moments when we are in nature or in a calm scene. You don't want to do it when you're scared to death, right? That's that's not the place to practice. You want to practice when you're at a serene place. And so by doing that, I could find the peace, because once your senses begin to pick up everything around you and you are truly in the present and you're watching an earthworm track its way through the dirt and into the grass and disappearing. And I mean, it's phenomenal, the things that you begin to see, and you become so present that peace just fills your heart. And that's what was transformational for me. And I decided right there in that moment that everything that I did from that moment moving forward, I would measure it against the peace within. Well, doing that bring me peace within. And if it didn't, then I had to do one of two things. I either had to not do it, or do I have a preconception around that that is misleading me? Do I need to change some belief systems around my thoughts on that so that I am at peace? Because it is something I really need to do, right? So there's a learning opportunity and a growth opportunity to really develop personally around your beliefs and your perceptions of things. So that was really cool too. But that peace within, that's what it brought. Peace, peace.
So you shared a little bit with us about the mind and the brain, and then the heart brain. So as you transition to your heart brain, what does the gut brain have to do with everything?
Yeah. So the gut brain has been collecting data on you since the day you were born. There is more neural traffic, means communication flowing from your gut brain to your head than there is from your head to your gut. So your gut is truly in charge. There are more neurons inside your gut brain than there are along your whole spinal cord. So there is so much knowledge that is in your gut. So if you were to go up to the refrigerator and figure out what to eat, if you paused for a moment and asked your gut brain, what is going to be most nourishing for me in this moment? What is the best thing for me? And you paused and you were in true, what we call rest and digest mode, which the brain has fight or flight, right? Or rest and digest. So if you're truly in that rest and digest mode, that is when the gut brain is awake. That's when the heart brain is flourishing as well, because the head brain is sitting in the back seat when you're in rest and digest. When you're in fight or flight, head brain's running the show and getting you into trouble. So when you're asking the gut brain, what is most nourishing for me right now? You want to be in parasympathetic state. So we always take several deep breaths. And when you take that deep breath, it wants to be, you want to bring it to the diaphragm region. Diaphragm is drawing that air into the lungs, right?
So are you saying do that before you open the fridge?
Yeah, do the breaths before you open the fridge. 2, 3 to 5, how many ever is going to get you to switch over. So the way you switch tracks quickly is you do a loud exhale through your mouth like this. That tells the head brain we're switching. We're going from sympathetic to parasympathetic, right? So you're switching tracks when you do a loud exhale. 3 to 5 breaths, and then you open up that refrigerator and you say, what is most nourishing for me in this moment? And you wait for it, right? You're looking at the food and you wait. If you have a quick answer, that's your head just decided to jump in on the conversation, right? So you want to just wait for it. And the gut brain speaks differently than the head brain. The head brain uses words. The gut brain is an instinct, right? It's a drawing. All of a sudden you'll be reaching for the tomatoes and you don't even realize it, right? Because it's instinctual. And so when the gut brain is awake, you get more of your instincts around what is the best course of action for you, what is the best food to eat. So listening and getting into that parasympathetic state is so beneficial for the operation of your life. It will not mislead you. Again, it's been collecting data on you. It knows what is best for you in any given moment. Just like the heart brain is our home center of the intuitive wisdom, your heart brain also knows. The beautiful thing about the heart brain is it works independently from the head brain. So it's not involved in shutting down during a stress response, right? It can still talk, but your head is so loud that it drowns out the heart brain every time. So you can hear the heart better when you are in that rest and digest mode.
Yeah. So you share this example as if you're going to open up the refrigerator door. It's
Mhm.
kind of a silly question, but does it work the same as if you're going to open up the pantry door?
Yes.
Good.
And
I
the
need to
freezer.
know.
And the freezer. Anytime you're going to choose food, when you're at a food bar,
Mhm.
what is this nourishing for me? I would go to food bars and I would just ask that question, okay, what is it? And I would just very slowly move down the line, make eye contact with every single food, and I would feel the instinct. This one, put it
Mhm.
on my plate.
So if you're in a restaurant and you're ordering, you can do the same thing with the menu in front of you to know
Yes.
instinctually what's going to be best for you that day,
Mhm.
which may not be what you want to eat, but what's best for you to eat.
So what's best for you? And you begin to trust and respect the gut brain, because
Mhm.
every time you don't listen to it, what happens? You get tummy upset, indigestion. There's some course of action that happens that isn't make you feel good, right? You're lethargic, you're sleepy, you know. And the
Mhm.
gut brain also tells you how much food to put in your system at that time.
Mhm.
So if you go slow enough when you eat and breathe in those bites, you're
Mhm.
going to hear when the gut brain sends leptin off to the head brain to say, stop. But if you're going fast, you'll never get that clue. You'll never hear the instinct
Mhm.
to
So
stop.
by following this simple process here that you're sharing with us, how has your life changed by doing this?
Oh, it's incredible, because when you do this, you don't overeat and you don't eat the wrong foods, so to speak, the foods that aren't going to be nourishing for you. So digestively, my digestion, most people, when they have their inflamed digestion, they have to go on a supplementation protocol and a really strict diet in order to heal their gut. I wasn't able to do those things because the food sensitivities from the anxiety had gotten so high for me. I couldn't take supplements, they would make me nauseated.
Mhm.
And so I was able to heal my gut simply by circadian rhythm, slowing down, and getting into that rest and digest mode the majority of the time during my day.
Mhm.
And that is what heals your gut. It is the most beautiful process. I just love it, love it, love it, love it.
Mhm.
And when my clients come to me and I work with them on waking up their gut brain again, they will naturally lose 5 to 7 pounds the first 4 weeks they're with me, simply because they slowed down. And when you slow down, you only eat about half the amount of food that you need, that you were eating. And so you naturally lose weight, and your taste buds actually change, because it realizes that, oh, that burger from such and such place is not very tasty.
Right.
And they stop eating the foods that are not nutritious anymore. It's just natural. So I never have to tell anyone, you can't eat that, you can't eat this. I never say that. It's a natural progression that happens when you wake up. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. Beautiful.
So in the beginning, you talked a lot about anxiety because that was the emotional state that you were in. And now you've gone through this process. We know what the physical benefits are. What are some of the emotional benefits that you have now by shifting and changing and sharing this?
Yeah. So now there is that space between.
Mhm.
So when you slow down, you have 7 blessed seconds to believe something that comes in, or to take it in to where it becomes a neural pathway in your brain, or reject it. You have 7 blessed seconds. And so when I slowed down, I began to see the 7 seconds, which enabled me to not react in life, but to go, well, that's not truth for me.
Mhm.
I don't need that. And I could turn it away. And then there's another process that I learned along the way, which was after my anxiety attack years. But I'm like, holy mackerel, if I had had this during anxiety years, holy cow, that would have been over with long before, right?
Mhm.
And that is a process that I call that is called emotional resolution. And so those people that I work with that either are pantry divers or late night stress eaters, because they're waiting for their college age child to call and they never call. And so they find themselves going to the pantry. Well, it's not the food that's the enemy, right? It's the stressor around the call. So I teach my clients how to emotionally resolve that, get that out of the subconscious mind, because it's just a trigger from something that happened previously in their life that is creating that behavior. And so when we can go in and erase the tape that's in the subconscious mind, then they find that they're not stressed about their kid not calling anymore. It's like, okay, but they don't go to the pantry. So they stop the late night eating. And that's just one example. And it is just a really beautiful, quick, painless process that helps people to curb those behaviors that were not beneficial, health-wise, especially.
Sorry, is
So,
that through NLP?
No, it's called emotional resolution.
Okay.
Yep. A little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
so real quick here, you shared the little breathing technique to ask yourself what is needed before you engage with food, no matter which way the food is going to be delivered to you.
Right.
On that, what is one little quick tip or takeaway that we can really implement today in addition to that one?
Yeah. So the mindful moment, I just highly recommend starting your day with that calm, with that peace. And so go out to a place where you love your back porch. Maybe you have a room that you just love being in that really fuels you. And when you go in there, settle in and get in a comfortable position, not lying down. You want to be sitting up, and typically not resting your back against a chair is best. You want to be straight up erect, because once you begin to recline back in a chair, those pressure points along the spine tell the brain that it's time to go to sleep. So when you can stay erect, it's better for you, and you'll keep your attention. So just focus on something that in front of you, unmoving, or it can move. It doesn't matter. Something that I like to do, something that's like a circle, and it can have things around it, but then it has some kind of circle, so your eyes penetrate through the circle, so your peripheral picks up everything on the outside, and you can really laser in focus. And when you hold that and you're taking those deep diaphragmatic breaths that you would take in front of the fridge, pantry, or the freezer, you're doing that same kind of breathing as you're doing that. And once your body is breathing you, so what that means is that when we first go to breathe, we do it intentionally. Then when you get in a rhythm, the body begins to breathe, right? You don't have to think about it. Once you hit that moment, you open up all your senses, what you're hearing, what you're tasting, what you're smelling, what you're feeling against your skin, and you bring all those senses into play at the same time and train your brain to stay in the moment. Now, what's going to happen is a thought is going to come through and try to carry you away. Once you notice that you got carried away in that thought, just shoo it away like a butterfly, just go away and come right back to the point of focus. So once you engage in it, you're going into judgment, criticism, and that totally pulls you out of the mindful moment. But if you can notice that you got carried away, and with gentleness, bring yourself back to that point of focus and the awareness, you can train your mind to stay focused longer and longer and longer, so that you aren't carried away and you begin to master your mind in that moment.
Nice. Now, I understand that you have a free gift tonight. So if you can share that, and what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So if you text the word balance, BALANCE, to 26786, when you text that, you are going to get a digital copy of my book, Join Me in the End Zone, which talks all about the brains, and it refers to it as embrace, nourish, and digest. And you can also have the opportunity to get on my newsletter. And when you join the newsletter through one of those texts that comes through, you're going to get a free meditation.
Okay. Cool.
And I also send out a text every week that reminds you to take 5 deep breaths, or just a little health tip each week to do something positive in your life, right, around your health. So
nice.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
So
Celia, we have
26786.
Yes, 26786. The word balance.
And I put that in the chat there for you. I don't know if you can see it if you're on your phone.
Yeah,
we have like just a couple of minutes left. Do you have any questions for Ashly that you would like to ask?
Well, just because I'm going through a 28-year common law split, and that he asked December 6, 21, and then he just moved out last month, and I have a 15-year-old daughter. I guess any tip? I guess I mean, I just keep on saying acceptance, surrender, acceptance, surrender. Anyways, I don't know.
Right.
If you were in my shoes, what would you say or use?
Yes. Saying that is a lot easier than done, right? Saying I accept, that's a lot easier to say it than it is to actually do it. So really just being with it, be with the sadness, be with the mourning, allow it to flow through you because it's not going to last.
Right.
If it's fought, it will last, right? Just allow it. When you think of that memory and it just brings sorrow to your heart, allow it and just be with that. Now we don't sink into it, right? Right? We allow that sadness and then we go, all right. It's so beautiful the way our bodies are created in that we're given that emotion for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then it can be over with unless we fight it or engage in it.
Okay.
So allow it to flow through. Don't engage with it. Talking to yourself about it, nothing. Allow the feeling to be there. And then in 2 to 3 minutes, it's going to be gone. And you're going to go, okay, what's next?
Right? So how can you take this? How does it all relate to really creating that life of happiness, prosperity, and love? Because ultimately, I think that's what we're all after.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you follow these guidelines, you tremendously reduce the stress in your life. When we reduce the stress, begin mastering the stress, learn how to work with it, that is when, to me, you are truly stepping into that opportunity for the love and prosperity and the fun in your life. Otherwise, you're so trapped in that fight or flight 90% of your day that there's no enjoyment there and there's no opportunity to prosper. But if we just simply learn how to master our stress, recognize it and be with it and tell it what to do, be the master of it, then we have that opportunity to open up into that flow. Yeah.
Nice. It's all about mastering the stress. That is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, Ashly, I want to say thank you for being here tonight and being a part of the Happiness, Prosperity, and Love podcast. And thank you, Sylvia, for joining us and sharing this. Definitely text balance to 26786. You can connect with Ashly. She can share more of her insight and wisdom with you and help you along your pathway as you go through this transition. So
thank you. Thank you.
Do that. So this too shall pass. That's what I hear for you. This too shall pass and good things are on its way because it's always replaced with something better.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Ashly, do you have any parting words?
Truth. What you just said, that was so truth. Yeah. It always leads to things that are bigger and better. Keep your eye on that.
Rise and thrive, ladies.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you.
Bye now.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.